PFL returns on Thursday. We've got the men's heavyweights and the women's flyweights divisions, and this is a bettable card. That's right. It is PFL week. I'm Andy. That's Jim. We're going to get into it. We're going to break down these fights. If you could hit the like button real quick and leave us a comment. Tell us who you like this week. So before we get into the fights, it is so important to know the style of PFL and how they run these tournaments and the points. So we're going to pull up the standings here because you have to understand before you start betting these fights, you have to understand it. So Jim, one more time, we go over this every PFL video, but explain how the PFL works.
It's a tournament bracket. You get 6 points for a first round finish, and it goes down and down and down as the fight goes on. So it incentivizes finishes. So this is crucial. I mean, at this point in the season, week one, it's like, yeah, you want to finish. But at this point, now you got to set yourself up. You can't be going into the last week needing a finish in the first 30 seconds. We saw this with Anthony D'Elia last year when he missed a fight. He needed to finish the fight in the first minute and couldn't do it. That was it. So these fighters are going to fight not only to win, but also to get the points that are needed. There's only 4 spots. It's not that many. We're not even getting half the field making it into the playoffs. So, look, there's a lot of opportunity. There's fights that have been canceled. There's guys with 0 points coming in, need to make a splash to make the playoffs. So this is what makes PFL exciting, and most importantly, this is what makes PFL bettable. Very bettable.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at the heavyweight. So Moldavsky, 1-0. He's got the lead with 6 points. Popov, kind of a little bit of surprise, 5 points. Now, and here, classic case of why it's so important. Daniel James, not fighting.
Yep.
So he's going to be short. So guys like Goltsov, he's the big one. Goltsov has a great opportunity to get a finish and leapfrog Daniel James. And then you got some of these guys like Linton Vassell who needs points. Golm needs points. So that's the heavyweight division. And then we go down to the women's flyweight, and it's crowded. It's crowded up at the top. You got our girl Dakota Ditchba tied with Taila Santos and Jena Bishop. Our girl Liz Carmouche, who we expect big things from. And then, of course, you got Watanabe at 3 points. So before you bet PFL, always look at the standings, look and see where the motivation is, or if there isn't motivation. That's the other thing. You can find these fighters that just don't have motivation, where they're mathematically eliminated, and then it's go time. If you get a fighter that's not motivated going up against a fighter that is motivated, oh man, take a look at those unders. So those are the standings that we have right now. So let's start with the first fight. Some of these fights we won't spend too much time on, but we do want to give a little bit of a thought. PFL, a lot of favorites this week. And listen, we want to give you our honest opinion of our fights. We're not going to bet all of them, but expect a lot of favorites when we talk about it. There's a reason. So not a lot of great places to play underdog. So we'll start with Inaba and Orozco. What do you know about these two fighters? Is there anything we can do with this one, Jim?
Betting wise, I don't think there's really anything. When the totals come out, it'll be interesting. Look, Inaba's been a PFL fighter. She's fought the same names from Bellator, excuse me. She's fought the same names that all these other Bellator fighters have. She's okay, good striker. Grappling could leave a little bit to be desired. I would think that she's the fighter that we want to push here. I mean, just look at the record of her opponent and the competition of her opponent. But I think the number, I'm not going to lay a minus 200 on an opener fight in a PFL tournament. I'm just not.
No.
So a total could be, there's so many better spots than this. So I think Inabi wins, but it's probably by decision. Maybe she gets a sub if Saray is just, washed or just not good. But I'm not interested in this fight whatsoever. We can move on.
Yeah, I mean, she is not good. 8-5, and we're talking in like Lux Fight League and some of these others, a bad competition. But yes, we'll move on to a fight that is a little bit better. Juliana Velasquez and Lisa Mauldin. My claim to fame was when I correctly predicted Lisa Mauldin to beat Helen Peralta way back when, and then she subs our girl Dirty D, but then runs into the freight train. That is Dakota Ditchba. I think Mauldin is underrated, undervalued. I guess she's big time plus money. In one of the funniest, I mean, just like her last 3 losses are to the same person. It's the weirdest thing. So I actually think both of these women are underrated. I think this is a stay away, but I think Velasquez probably wins. The thing is, like Velasquez maybe on the ground, but Mauldin is no slouch. That's kind of where Mauldin's pretty decent with the wrestling and everything. I would take overs in this one. I think it goes the distance. I think it's pretty close. Slight edge to Velasquez for me in this one. What do you think?
This is where we can talk about PFL. Okay? Lisa Mauldin just got knocked out a couple months ago. This is also something you have to look at in PFL. What was the result? She got blasted by Dakota. Hurt to the body, hurt to the head. And what, 2 months? 2 months ago. Not a lot of time to recover. Really not. However, look, when you fight someone 3 times in a row and you get a different opponent, that is really, really tricky. We've seen that. Remember Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard? Like all of a sudden, they fight 3 times in a row. Now you have to fight somebody else and plan differently. Alex Morono, or not Alex Morono, Brandon Moreno.
Figueredo is the big one. Yeah.
Figgy, right? Yeah, same thing. We bet on that one because it's tough. So there's a lot of sketchiness in this fight. Like, should Velasquez win? Yeah. But like you said, I think Mauldin is very undervalued. And people are looking at her getting taken out by Ditcheva, but forgetting the fact that she scored 2 upsets as underdogs. You know, when she's a dog, that's when you bet this girl. So who knows what Velasquez? What are we going to get? She's no spring chicken. I will not be playing a bet in this fight, but if it's anything, I'm taking a real small sprinkle on Mauldin.
Plus 350, man. Look, you could do a lot worse at a women's fight for sure.
Liz just out grappled Velasquez, and if Mauldin gets on top, she's going to be able to hold her down. She just is.
Absolutely.
So.
Danilo Marques and Tim Johnson. I mean, these guys like not only are they old, but they look really old. So you mentioned Danilo Marques just looked terrible. Are we looking at unders or are we looking to take Tim Johnson at minus 230? I'm not impressed by either guy.
I'm looking at this fight not to go the distance. I don't think that Danilo Marques has the cardio to go 3. I can't get the image of him getting knocked out by Nunes by just a flicker of a punch. Then on the breakdown videos on PFL, you watch him hitting the mitts, and he discloses that he broke his collarbone in January, so he's been dealing with that. He's out of shape. This is not his weight class. Tim Johnson was released by Bellator during the PFL Bellator merger, had 1 fight on the regionals, got a win, okay, but he's coming in unexpected on short notice. Now, that being said, photos that I've seen of Tim Johnson, he sure looks like he's in shape. So maybe getting cut by Bellator motivated him. I thought I was going to be real sneaky and Tim Johnson was going to be plus money, and the book said, nope, minus 230. So I think everyone's kind of leaning on the fact that Marques is washed. I think this fight ends. I would be very interested in a time prop once they actually drop here, but I will not be playing a side.
Absolutely. Once again, we want to tell everybody we're not betting all of these. There's a lot of really good plays, but all our official plays are over at wagertalk.com. We got a 5% play of the week that is up right now. We got a 4% PFL play, and all the PFL and UFC plays, the official plays that we are betting with our own money are in that pack. So if you want to know exactly what we're playing, that's where it is. So don't take a bet on every single fight that we talk about here. We try and get as many as possible, but it takes a lot for it to make an official play. So those are up at wagertalk.com. Let's talk about Joanne and our girl, Shanna Young. We kind of thought she would this is fade going forward with Shanna Young. And then it's all about matchups here in PFL. Mm-hmm. She talked about not becoming a truck driver, getting her CDL, and it's like, well, that's the end of it. But she's got a good matchup here, plus money. You kind of like her, don't you?
I'm gonna plant my flag here this week. I bet Shanna Young. I took her at plus money. I think Joanne is bottom of the barrel women's MMA. She is. She has absolutely no ground game to speak of whatsoever. Let's go through her losses. Rear naked choke, armbar, ground and pound.
Yeah.
Bruno Ellen was a decision, but Bruno Ellen's not a grappler. So anybody who has any kind of grappling pedigree is taking this girl down and finishing her twice in round one, and then Watanabe at the end of the fight. I think Shanna Young is such an advantage in the wrestling. Such an advantage. Joanne is going to come out tough. She's going to throw some strikes. And Shanna Young, for all her faults, she's still a former UFC fighter. Period. She took Watanabe to the distance. That was a close fight.
It was
Watanabe
it was a
did
good
not look
performance.
good. It was a great performance for Shanna Young levels. I think she can get this done, and you're going to give me plus money on the bigger girl who's going to have a 4-inch height advantage, big size advantage, and an edge in the grappling. I'm going to take the plus money on her. That's just what you do
Absolutely.
with women's MMA. So Shanna Young, small play, but I got her at 119, plus 119. That line's moving, so if you're interested, get it quick.
Marcelo Golm, Tyrell Fortune. I don't really have a whole lot on this one. I have no opinion on this one. Do you have any opinion on this?
Yes, Marcelo Golm has no chin. Marcelo Golm has no cardio. Marcelo Golm is coming in on short notice.
Okay.
He's replacing Daniel James. So that was supposed to be our fight coming in, was Daniel James against Tyrell Fortune. Tangled little web here of fighters. These guys have all kind of fought each other. This kind of completes the little circle here. I am not a fan of Fortune. I'm also not a fan of Golm. I just really don't think that this guy possesses the ability to go the distance. If he gets on top, he can end a fight. He had James hurt bad in their fight. And the second that the roles were reversed, he just folded up like a suitcase. He was done. Absolutely done. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the same thing. I really wouldn't. It's a short notice spot for Golm. He can't be ready to rock. I would take this fight not to go the distance, under 2.5. Once those lines come out, we'll see what we get. But not playing aside.
Under is definitely the only way that I would look at playing this one. So, Oleg Popov and Davion Franklin. Popov, nice win against Maori. Now, I will say this. Maori looked about as bad as Maori has ever looked. I believe we had a fade the baby theory. I believe he just had a baby. He looked like he hadn't been in a gym in months. So credit to Popov because he got the win. But make no mistake, Maori was dead to the world after the first round. So Davion Franklin only 6-2 in this one. I think this is another one that doesn't go the distance. I don't think, like, sometimes these guys just don't have the defense and you're going for the finishes, and both these guys need to keep up in this division, that you need finishes. I think it's guns a-blazing. Popov is such a big favorite in this one, minus 270. I'm not sure I totally agree with that one, but I'm just taking the under in this one with an ever so slight lean to Popov. What do you think?
I think there's one way that Franklin can win this is his flash knockout in round one. Both times that Franklin's fought an aggressive grappler, he's gotten washed. You know, he faces Slim. Slim's a great grappler. It's an injury, but let's not make any bones about it. That fight was going one way, and that was going to be grappling. Marcelo Golm, who we just talked about, who is a grappler, wrestles him for 3 rounds, chokes him out. Okay. Really has a problem with the grappling, and that's all that Popov does. Popov trains with Fedor, so he's training with Moldavsky as well. They're strategizing. Very, very smart camp. Very, very smart camp. I mean, Fedor Emelianenko, what more could you ask for at heavyweight as a coach? They do what they have to do to get the win. So, he could be a bit of a decision machine and not push it, but I think if the submission presents itself, he's going to latch it up. And especially in this points format, look, this guy's got 5 points. If he gets a submission, he's basically a shoo-in for the playoffs.
Yeah.
At that point, it's going to take a lot to get him out of there if the other guys don't perform. So, dark horse of the division, second place right now with 5 points. Daniel James is out of there with 5. He's going to be down low. I don't know. I like Popov. It's not a great number, but I wonder if this is the fight where afterwards we look at it as it was value.
It could be. We talked about the Grant Dawson fight on UFC where it was like that fight was over and we're like, why didn't we just lay everything on Grant Dawson by decision? That was just the most obvious play. So yeah, maybe it is Popov. I said not a great number at minus 270 compared to a lot of the other fights on this card. Maybe it is. Maybe it is
It's
pretty
PFL.
good. It's
Yep.
so Moving on to Taila Santos, our girl Taila Santos, who we think we're going to make a lot of money off of here in PFL, fighting Jena Bishop. This line opened around minus 290, and now it's like minus 520, and I think minus 520 is a steal. I'll let you talk about Taila Santos and Jena Bishop first. What do you got?
So this is Taila Santos is not a washed-up UFC fighter. She's a UFC fighter that had a problem with the UFC, and they had a problem with her, and contract disputes, and blah, 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 blah. And PFL put a bullseye on this girl and said, we're going to get her. They paid her a lot of money to come into PFL. They want this girl in the finals, and she could wash this whole division. We could be sitting here at the end of this tournament saying, why didn't we lay the farm on Taila Santos every fight? She's a UFC fighter, still in her prime.
An elite UFC fighter.
Yeah,
she
not
lost
just
to Blanchfield and
top 10 UFC fighter, right? If Erin Blanchfield signed with the PFL tomorrow, there's no amount of money that you could put as much as you possibly could get on Erin Blanchfield. She'll kill everybody. Yeah. Jena Bishop's only got 7 fights. I know she's a credentialed grappler. That's great. But where's the rest of... Look who she's been fighting. This is Taila. Here's the interesting part. Neither of these girls need a finish. It's nice to get one, but they don't need one. And in the recent interview, they said they don't understand why they're fighting. They both got round 1 finishes. To them, this is silly. Tread lightly on the by finish in this one. I would not be shocked if we get a 15-minute grappling match with a 3-point victory, and we see a rematch down the line and they kind of show their full skill set. That's the other thing to think about. If you think you're going to fight somebody in the playoffs, we see it like when football teams play in week 17 and they're playing round 1 of the playoffs, they're not showing anything. They're putting the 3rd string quarterback in there. Yeah, so this could be a grappling and control fest. Taila Santos by decision could be very interesting. I think submission decision could be interesting.
Santos, there's always one on, well, not always, but there seems to be one every card that kills everybody. Santos by finish could be it. I just think she's so much better everywhere. I think her striking is so much better. And Bishop wants to get on the ground. Well, that's Taila Santos's world. So I think Santos gets the finish, to be honest with you. But you're right. Knowing the PFL format, that is one to probably stay away from, is either one of them to finish. But yeah, very odd that they're fighting each other.
Well, case in point, like you said, that 520 probably is still a great number for her, relatively. So why screw around with it?
Truth.
Take the 520 and just ride it to the bank. Tyler's going to win this fight.
Absolutely. Liz Carmouche and Watanabe, our girl Liz Carmouche. This is the classic know the PFL style, because Liz Carmouche needs a finish. It was a domination in her last fight against Velasquez. She just couldn't quite get out there. Velasquez was doing the I'm playing to not get finished. Like, I'm not going to win, but I'm not going to get finished. That is my game plan here. And it was frustrating for Carmouche. And I think you and I are on the same page here that she's just so much stronger, better on the ground, has a huge motivation here. And we like her to dominate Watanabe, correct?
Correct. I'm gonna quote Liz. She said, "I came out like a bat out of hell last fight to get the finish, and it wasn't enough. So now I got to try to kill her." Word for word.
Wow. Wow.
So, look, last time they fought, she came out and went across the cage and went after Watanabe and knocked her out in 30 seconds. So I think Liz is, and not only that, she got the PFL jitters out of the way the last fight. I almost think like she maybe rushed a little bit in those opening sequences. She had some options. She spoke about, she stayed on weight. Like, after the last fight, her weight's been on since Monday. She hasn't had to cut any weight. She loves this activity, the fact that she can just stay in the gym. She has not gone home. She's gone directly back into a training camp after the last fight. So this is a veteran who knows what she's doing. And Watanabe just struggled with Shanna Young. This is a different beast. Yeah. So, yeah, Liz by finish. She needs the finish. When those lines drop, I'll be quick on the trigger to play Liz by finish in this fight, most certainly.
If you haven't hit the like button, please do that. Really helps the algorithm out. Let's Wager Talk know we're doing a good job for everybody. And always love to hear what you guys' picks are in the comment section. Tell us if you agree, disagree with some of the things on there. Don't be a stranger. Tell us what you like. Tell us about some of the bets you've been hitting on. And let us know after. I've noticed we get a lot of views after the event is over.
Yeah.
I'm assuming people are going through and seeing how well we did, which is fun. It's fun to go back and see. So don't be shy. Let us know how we did. Let's talk Denis, Goltsov, and Thiago Santos. Full disclosure, we were on Denis Goltsov the second that this ridiculous line came out.
Yes.
And that has been gobbled up. And now Goltsov is minus 500. This is one of those where minus 500 sounds like a lot. I don't think it's enough. I'll let you go first here.
It's a short notice paycheck spot. It is. You got to.
I had the word paycheck
Thiago.
written down.
Paycheck? Nice.
Yes.
You hear the interview with Thiago. It's kill or be killed. I'm coming for the finish. This is an opportunity. Blah, 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 blah. Well, where's this been, Thiago? Why do you have to wait till you lose? What, was he lost 5 out of his last 6?
He's lost 1 million. He has 1 win since before COVID.
And it's always low volume, just Thiago. Look, his knees are shot. His knees are shot. There's people that I've spoken to that are around the camp and saying that he thinks he's putting in the work, but it's not enough. It's just not enough to be a professional top-level fighter. His career's past him. Goltsov's a veteran of this series. The ground advantage, I would say that's the most glaring weakness, right? Goltsov on the ground. I mean, if this hits the ground, it's Goltsov all day. This is also just another chance to fade Thiago Santos. You know, you can't lose to Yoel Romero at this point in your career and be taken seriously. It's Goltsov. Goltsov all day.
Yeah.
This fight's not going the distance.
It's
Thiago,
Goltsov by finish. Yeah, it's Goltsov by finish. I feel perfectly fine with that. And again, this is a guy that I'm looking at and going, he knows he needs to get a good finish because he's a point behind Popov and 2 points behind Moldavsky. He got his fight was so ridiculous. We'll talk about Vassell here in a little bit, but him getting the round 3 finish hurts. That really hurts when you got guys that are finishing before. So Goltsov has a great opportunity to make mincemeat, and it's the knees of Thiago Santos. Like it's like the injuries have it's too much. It's too much. You just can't keep fighting when your body is that shot. So he's still getting paychecks for it. Congratulations. But yeah, this is I don't think this goes well for him. So our girl Dakota Ditcheva and Chelsea Hackett, you were all over Ditcheva before she really became the face of PFL. Can we say she's the face of PFL? Is that an interesting discussion?
100% the face of PFL.
She's earned it. I give her that, man. She's earned it. She's gotten better each and every fight. It's minus 1,600. It's up to minus 1,800. I mean, really, Jim, not only is it too juicy for money line, Ditcheva by finish, you almost have to just do Ditcheva round 1 finish against this one, which I got to be honest, against Chelsea Hackett, I kind of expect her to do. Let's start with Ditcheva. What makes her so great?
She is top-notch Muay Thai, top-notch kickboxing. Her mother is a multiple times over world champion. This girl has been doing this since she could walk. Here you're walking, here's some Muay Thai pads. Here you go. Start kicking. She is absolutely brutal in the clinch. She fights long. Her grappling game is probably the most slept-on thing about her. Her offensive submission game, her defensive grappling, her takedown defense is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Cage work is amazing. I mean, you name it, this girl's got it. She's got the cardio. She's got the meanness, the grit she'll fight through. She's got a chin. She's been clipped before and fought through it. She's just brutal. She is a puzzle that is going to take a veteran to figure out. And that's not Chelsea Hackett by any means.
The 4-2-1 Chelsea Hackett.
The failed project of Chelsea Hackett. So big layoff in Chelsea's career. She gets armbar by Jenna Bishop, and here's the thing about the armbar. Any shame in getting armbar by Jenna Bishop? No, most certainly not. She's a multiple-time jiu-jitsu champion. The way in which she defended the armbar, that's the red flag. The picking the person up and slamming them when they're getting you in an armbar thing, that sailed back in 2004, okay? That ship is gone. You got to know how to defend these things. So, look, Ditcheva can tap her out very easily if you're going to show that kind of defense. I don't think this goes out of round 2. It probably doesn't go out of round 1. I think Ditcheva is going to beat her up. Fun fact, we were just talking about this before we started. Chelsea Hackett was given the option to fight Dakota Ditcheva or Lisa Mauldin, and she chooses Dakota Ditcheva. I don't understand it. I get you want to test yourself, you want to make the big splash, but this is a mismatch in every facet of MMA. It's a bad career decision, if I'm being honest.
Look at her wins. Kai Bennett was 3-2, and then I've never heard of these other ones. Getting finished by Jenna Bishop and Victoria Leonardo. My gosh, spells disaster. So look for another Ditcheva. There's not a whole lot you can do with it, but her by finish is kind of the parlay piece that you go with. And, I mean, she's at American Top Team. Even the video of her in the gym, you're just like, she jumps off the screen. She just jumps off the screen. She's a real find for PFL. It's very interesting that they got Dakota Ditcheva and Taila Santos. Pretty interesting from PFL. So
I miss the days of Dakota Ditcheva minus 400. Never thought I would say that.
Remember those? Remember those?
Looking back, it's like we could be retired by now if we knew what we were getting.
Seriously.
We could have been retired.
Yeah. We're gonna hit it big when was it Muhammad Ali's grandson? Next time he fights a really good striker. We're gonna get Walsh. Don't you think for a second that we haven't sniffed out Biagio Walsh has absolutely no striking defense whatsoever. The second they give him a striker, he's getting smoked. So, This being said, before we move on with Ditcheva, we're gonna have a moment this season. At some point, she's going to have to face Taila Santos or Liz Carmouche. Okay? They're not going to have these women fight until it's in the playoffs, and it's probably the finals. So it's going to be very interesting when she has to take the biggest step up in her career with the brightest lights on. Liz Carmouche isn't going to go away. No.
Taila Santos can wrestle.
Yeah.
So there'll be a spot for Dakota, but it ain't this week.
And this is another thing why you would want to look at the points. I would think at least you've got Jenna Bishop's not going to keep on here, but like, do you want the 1 or the 2 seed? Like if Liz Carmouche is the 3 seed, there's no chance I want to be the 2 seed. I don't want to face Liz Carmouche in the first round of the playoffs. So this is kind of why I go back to if Taila Santos does understand and really, really want to take advantage of the situation. Ditcheva's going to get a bunch of points. I think Santos is going to want to keep up pace because I don't see who Ditcheva's. They're not going to give Ditcheva any of these in her next fight. Like if she comes out and does what we think she's going to do. So I think Santos does get the finish just because of the points. But
that's a great point, man. That's a really good point, though. Could the 2 seed having to face Carmouche? That's a great point.
Oh, it's terrible. But we've seen fighters screw this up multiple times, not understanding the points, not going for it. I mean, so listen, maybe I'm giving him too much credit here. So we're going to break down the main event between Valentin Moldavsky and Linton Vassell. Go grab that 5% play of the week. That's up, guys. And, the 4% PFL play and UFC pack is probably the best deal you're going to get. This is going to be a great, great week for MMA profits. 3-1 in our last PFL event. So really, really looking forward to that. Encourage everyone to grab that 12-5 run in MMA and the 5% play of the week. That category is 16-7. We've hit our last 2 big ones. So go grab that. Andy Lang at wagertalk.com. All right, let's talk about Valentin Moldavsky and Linton Vassell. You mentioned earlier about another fighter who took a lot of damage. I got to tell you, I'm worried about the beating that Linton Vassell. Like, it to me, and you know more about this than I do, so I'll start with this. My opinion is I think Linton Vassell is going to be much tougher for him to recover from because he ate a million shots as opposed to just the one huge flash knockout thing. Goltsov put it on him. Like,
Yeah.
probably should have been stopped. Like, Goltsov was at the end was so tired. He was just like, his punches were like, he was so exhausted. He's like, I am absolutely exhausted from beating this man's brains in. So I worry about Vassell's, just what shape he's in. Can he survive that one? So I like Moldavsky a lot in that one. But what do you think about just kind of the beating that Vassell took last time?
It was a lot. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It wasn't devastating, but it was just a lot. That fight went for a while. And look, Vassell had a good first round. But after that, it was one-way traffic for Goltsov. And Vassell's, I don't know if he's lucky or unlucky that Goltsov got tired, because then it was just a beating after beating. Look, 40 years old, we got to talk about too. Like, the recovery for a guy in his prime is going to be tough. But now 2 months later, at 40 years old, you got to fight the former Bellator champion that you fought twice before. Look, same story in their first fight, the second fight. I'm sorry, first fight with Moldavsky. Moldavsky can't finish him. He has him in trouble in the first round. Vassell has Moldavsky in trouble, and then it ends up being a decision. Was that the second one? No, it was
It's the
first.
first.
Right?
You're thinking of the first one. The
second
one
time,
was the
Vassell,
elbow.
if you go back and watch that fight, he catches him. Shit happens. You get caught. I mean, Linton Vassell's a big man. If you get caught by him, you could probably go out. But then responds with a beating of Steve Murray. And look, we can't take away much from the D'Elia fight, but
Yeah,
Moldavsky did look good for what it was.
he looked
And he
good,
did
but
what he
D'Elia
had to
got
do.
hurt. That was the one. D'Elia got hurt. Like,
Yeah.
what he threw a kick and like,
Was it tore his groin or something?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It was pretty
yeah.
bad.
You can see what happened. So, yeah, don't look at that. And go, oh, Moldavsky rushed him at the beginning.
No,
got
no,
the
no.
quick finish. So just keep that in mind. That being said, you're right. Moldavsky looked fine. So
Cardio-wise, Vassell saying I'm in the best shape of my life. Oh, I'm so sick of hearing that. You can't be 40 and be in the best shape of your life. Sorry. I'm 40. It doesn't work that way. My best shape is not my best shape of my life. It's my best shape of 40. So even though he thinks his cardio is better, I don't think it's better than Moldavsky's. And again, Moldavsky is Fedor's boy. This is the guy who's been training with him forever. If anybody's going to learn from two previous matchups, it's Moldavsky. What I loved in the breakdown videos that PFL was putting out, he was talking about distance. And he's like, if you get him to throw, him and Popov were talking about distance and how they want both their opponents to throw and miss because that's going to zap your gas tank. He goes, you either got to be all the way in or all the way out and get him to throw and miss. So I would not be surprised to see that. And I think once Moldavsky gets on top of Vassell, I think we could see another finish from Moldavsky, and he is sitting pretty in this division. So I don't think it's the time to fade him, and I can't buy into a 40-year-old Linton Vassell.
yeah, I think I'm with you. Yeah, I mean Moldavsky actually does have a little room to work with here points wise. Like he doesn't need the first round finish. So if he wants to like weather the storm and get Vassell, like play it cautious in round one and then really, take over, as we saw Vassell like fall off a cliff like he did against Goltsov. So I don't know. I would be a little worried about taking Moldavsky to finish. Like maybe he does, but I don't think it's round one. So I think the only way to do anything with this is to take Moldavsky on the money line. It's minus 335 that I'm looking at it right now. So, but that being said, you're right. Vassell's a powerful guy. He could easily clip him, but sounds like Moldavsky's ready for that one. So, all right, quick little recap. Inaba, we kind of like Inaba, but not a real confident play there. Mauldin might be the value wise probably the best because you can get like plus 350 on it. Her wrestling and ground game might be able to compete with Juliana Velasquez. Maybe Velasquez tries to get the finish early and doesn't, tires out a little bit, but that's a live dog for sure. Marques and Tim Johnson, I think we just said unders. Neither of these guys are gonna want to go 3 rounds. They probably don't want to go 2 rounds. Shanna Young, Jim likes is a nice little sprinkle on the underdog. I do as well. Golm and Fortune, this is an under, but mostly because of Marcelo and Golm. It's just Golm and unders.
Yep.
Popov, Davion Franklin. We like Popov in that one. Not a real confident one. Santos and Bishop. We like Santos to win. It's whether she gets the finish is going to be kind of interesting in that one. We like Carmouche to dominate. She needs a finish, so we think she probably gets finished. Goltsov, big over Santos. Ditcheva, of course, over Hackett. And Moldavsky over Vassell. I don't know. There might be a couple fights that trip people up. That's the thing. Like, if you could predict which ones are the ones that trip people up, you wouldn't bet them. You wouldn't bet them.
There's always one.
So that's going to do it, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. Our UFC video will be up probably Friday. Not a great card to watch, but there's a couple really good betting spots. So encourage everyone to join us for that. So good luck. I don't know if are you free to do? Are we doing Takedown Live for PFL tomorrow?
I wish. I'm going to be at the school teaching.
That's right.
I got classes to do tomorrow.
Jim's actually going to be.
Yes, I will. I will actually be competing.
So maybe my lazy ass will turn on the camera. Jim's out there like doing the thing that the fighters are actually doing. I'm just sitting at home on my fat ass.
Maybe we'll jump on later once I'll be home around like 8:30. So if they're still going on and we got some skin in the game, maybe we'll jump on.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. I'm at Bumps Portuguese. He's at Jim Malero. If we do Takedown Live for PFL, I'll send out a message. All right, thanks everyone. Good luck. Leave a comment and hit the like button. And good luck on all your plays. And we'll see you on Friday for the UFC breakdown video. Good luck.
See you then, guys.